Afternoon, this is Dean Okai. I'm the project manager for the Manage Leadership program. So Manage Leadership is for young men like you, to train in life skills, entrepreneurial and civic leadership. When we get to a certain position, we think that we should go into philanthropy. I've made enough, so I give something back. What if we learn all these lessons from the beginning? That we can rely on each other as a brotherhood in an alumni, that we don't need money to start a business. You started with your expertise and your brother's expertise, and you had a holding company with an alumni brotherhood that you could start any business or any social enterprise with overnight based on your intellectual capital and experience. A mum of a young man I was mentoring asked me a question. She said, why do our children have to suffer to learn? And I really had to think about that, because where there is a small distance between her and her son, I know it only takes intervention from us, experienced men and women who are culturally competent, to close that gap. Now, we'll never be able to affect all of our children as individuals, but I realized that with an organization and a training organization, if we can deliver this information in how to successfully navigate the world, which is truly what education is, then that peer base can go out and infect their peers with ideas, with the same clarity that they've learned on this course. Now, Manage teaches a code of conduct for men. Now, this thing that we call man is evolving. Gender fluidity and the agenda for our young men to be gender fluid has nothing to do with sexuality. It has to do with making you benign as a man within your role for our community. So you don't stand for anything. That is called man. And when a community has no men at the headship of that community, is wide open for infiltration by anybody. They don't even have to be smart. Now, we're all made up of masculine and feminine energy. It's about the balance, and it's about us playing our respective roles. How informed is the role of man in our community? So personally, I always look for the gaps. And we have rites of passage organizations. They go from maybe 8 to 18. And they will teach you a code of conduct as men. They will take you through a process to actually becoming a man. But what happens if you set up these young men with this amazing expectation? Now there's nowhere for them to go. What is in between leaving Manhood Academy, Origin, HQ, MAG, or WYLA, and becoming a successful entrepreneur, having your house, 30 odd years old, being a civic leader, delivering solutions and philanthropy within society based on your success? What is in that gap? Because a lot of us will talk about Marcus Garvey, saying, well, why don't you do this? He had 1,000 employees in Harlem. He was a philanthropist. He gave pride. But nobody looks at, like the story of Jesus, what happened to the boy from 13 to 33 when he emerged back? Where was the education? What was the process that he went through? The life process, the lived experience to become that man who set up multiple businesses, to have the biggest publishing company we've ever had as a people, with the newspaper that was printed in 3 languages globally, and 1,000 employees in Harlem in the worst depression in the US history. What was his process? Between giving his first speech and stammering and stuttering and falling off the stage, the crowds laughing and booing him, to becoming a man who could command audiences of thousands in Harlem with the respect across the world that influenced Kwame Nkrumah to gain independence for Ghana, to influence Vietnamese leader to go against the United States and France. What was it that man learned in terms of codes of conduct, in terms of entrepreneurial skills, in terms of team leading, in terms of project management that could enable him to get to that position? Just like any dignitary, any prime minister, they don't come out of the box at university, get a job, and then just run for prime minister. There's a process. There is esoteric knowledge that is gained. They have a full and deep understanding of their spirit, which is one of the things a lot of our young men don't understand. That if you are resistant to the so-called education system, which, let me give you a heads up right now, it's not about education, it's about indoctrinating. This so-called education system teaches you a formula to be compliant. Fear, obey, consume. This program is about you unlearning and relearning the formulas that are going to enable you to circumvent any problems in life, to navigate life successfully, and to see problems as projects that you just break down into milestones. So if you have a project, a problem, and it looks insurmountable, you're supposed to look in your phone and say, who are the personnel? What are the procedures for me to break that down into bite-sized chunks so now it's manageable as a project? Because one of the things that managed leadership trains is cognitive problem-solving skills. It's the way that you actually look at a problem. Now, we are trained to go into a panic mode where we just throw our hands up. It's a problem. And then we start repeating that. When we use these layman terms like words are spells, they are, but not in the way that people think. You're not casting any spell that you would realize. What a magician is somebody with the ability to shift your consciousness from where you are to where they desire you to be. Even if it's only 5% that I shift your consciousness off, you're not as effective as you would have been. Or maybe you're more effective based on the words that I give you. So if I see you upbeat and over-enthusiastic in a meeting, I search out one of your weaknesses and I focus on that and I articulate that repeatedly. I'm going to shift your consciousness. And this is what people do in business, because business is warfare. You're going to learn that. The psychological warfare, the tactical warfare, to win and to be able to compete. Because traditionally, competing isn't what we do. We rely on our adversaries for our solutions. And where's that got us? So why is marriage more needed for African diasporan young men more than at any stage of history? Because now we are truly in a real war. It's an undeclared war. It's a spiritual war. It's a physical war. It's a psychological war. And we're not taking part in that war. And many who are don't have the skills or the information to take part effectively. So when we look at COVID-19, my advice is this. When bullets are flying, don't try and figure out where they're coming from. Doesn't matter whether they're coming from your left or your right. Duck and cover your ass. When they finish flying, follow the money. The money starts and ends with Bill Gates, be under no illusion. What he is about is not the money, it's power. So now we come down to it. What is power? Power, like the direction of the river, takes you in a direction, the current. The currency of money is going in a particular direction, and you're not gonna beat the trend. If you jump over London Bridge and you find yourself in the river, you're going in the direction of the current, because the current is power. Like, currency is power. Well, how do we teach you to go against the current? We teach you how to create the vehicles to circumvent the direction of the current. So if you got a boat, you can go in any direction you like. Whether you have oars, which is sweat equity of your brothers and your intellectual capital and your experience, or a motor, which is capital to drive your business. Irrespective of what your vehicle looks like, whether you got oars or whether you got a motor, you will be able to go against the tide. But you need a vehicle. How do you successfully build a vehicle that's sustainable? And don't think it is based on anybody giving you anything, because nothing given can be sustained. If I control you through employment benefits or unemployment benefits, I can take them away. I can also control what you do. When you turn up, where you go, when you finish, when you go on break. Who wants that? All men want to be in dominion of their manhood. We want to be in control of our lives, our destinies, be able to provide for our families, and enjoy our time whilst we are doing it. How do we do that? We teach the information, and we teach the codes for successful cabals of men to be able to create any entity that will afford them that style of life. So my collective of brothers solve each other's problems, and they challenge me. They're not yes men. They're men of a similar ilk who stand up to that title of man. They are fathers, by and large. They're providers. They're friends. They're counsel to their brothers. And they take responsibility for themselves, which means personal accountability. I don't blame my missus for what happens in my life. I can't blame my school teachers or my parents. It's my time now. I'm the one in the frame. You see, if you want all the glory and accolades from your wins, then you got to take all the criticism and all of the challenges from your losses, which are just lessons unless you stop and lay down. But as a man, you will never do that, being in dominion of your manhood, because you're aware that you must keep marching forward. One of the books on our curriculum is The Obstacle is the Way. And if you're going in any other direction than towards the problem and the obstacle, you're going in the wrong direction. And once you understand that, you understand that the obstacle is the problem to be broken down into a project. Now, if you know you can pull and pick that apart in bite-sized chunks in order to achieve and accomplish an outcome, why would you ever be stressed for 1 minute? Now, there are problems that you can solve in 30 days that you will worry about for 30 days that you won't solve in a year, based on the information, based on the tactics, based on the brotherhood, the relationships that will enable you to overcome every single adversity you're presented with. So I spoke about COVID-19 and I mentioned Bill Gates. So this is very real. And what we're in is a global reset. What does that mean, a global reset? It means their old system of doing things is failing, is falling apart. Now, empires go in cycles, and traditionally their empire hasn't benefited us as men globally, which is why we find ourselves in the same condition all over the world. Now, that being the case, what are we waiting for if we have the opportunity to train and compete with parity? on an even keel. We live in a race-based global economy where we're the only ethnicity as African diaspora men not competing. So if you think about it as a relay race, education is one of the laps. Your civic law enforcement and military is one of the laps. Propaganda media is one of the laps, and economics is one of the laps. Where do we have independent economics, independent education, independent military, civil police, or any of the above? I'll wait. So having clarity about the fact that we are not where we need to be, we train in entrepreneurial and civic leadership concurrently. You don't start civic leadership and philanthropy when you get to a position. It's your intention from day one. And you will have the prerequisite skills to be an effective philanthropist, knowing that whatever portion of money you make, however much money you make, there is a portion for your philanthropy, for your cause, for your labor of love, your passion for your people, to even create a legacy for those who come after you. Can you imagine if somebody like Jay-Z were aware that the day he signed his record deal with Def Jam, on his own label as a partner, the civic leadership that he demonstrates now, he could have been demonstrating then. Our children are the only ones who have to suffer to learn, but we don't. Me and my colleagues have put together a course in a 6-week introduction that then leads on to a 12-week purpose unearthing, which is a one-to-one life skills coach who really gets to the bottom of what your skills are, what is stopping you, and creating a roadmap of how you can get there. The last component, which is 6 weeks, is a mastermind, and that teaches you how to work with your fellow brother to create what is called a mastermind, where you have sweat equity based on your skill set. So if we got 20 guys, let's say 2 of you are coders, 2 of you are finance guys, a couple of you negotiators, you're in sales, you're a creative. That is a corporate board. Now, what we do at the end of the 6-week introduction is set up a holding company where you guys own 5% each, where you can go on to set up as many companies as you like with whoever you like from this cabal of guys who are your alumni. An alumni that might last you for life. Now, this sounds fantastic, but we're looking for a particular type of man. We're looking for a man who's serious about himself, serious about life, values family, is interested in representing his people, creating employment. Our job is to arm you with the information, the tools, and then the external mentors from corporate companies. Now, what a lot of us don't know is that there are black professional networks inside all of these corporate companies. KPMG, Goldman Sachs, the NFL. There are black professional networks who are dying to mentor you in their specific skill set. Now, once you get into that vein, armed with the tools that we deliver on managed leadership training, you become a very dangerous proposition. You become a dangerous proposition as an individual. As a cabal of 10, but as a cabal of 20, you are weapons. So, we don't charge for this. This is free to you. Because this is what I wanted when I was 20 years old. I wanted the wisdom that I've accrued over the course of 26 years at 46. And for me, a lot of losses. I would lose a business. Then I would put my things from my yard in storage as I was starting another business. Then the storage would go. I lost everything I had 3 times. And I got more than I ever had in my life. And I had no formal training, all lived experience. But then what I started to do was surround myself with people that I saw were doing well. And for whatever reason, I became a networking machine. There was nobody that I thought was too big for me to approach. So now I find myself in the company of black men who are millionaires. And there's a particular way of thinking. There's a different paradigm from one of suffering. Nobody celebrates ghetto. I love it when my fridge is empty. I love it when my electric is on emergency. It's bullshit. It's fugazi. And when people are intelligent and living something else, demonstrating something else to young people, it irks me because it's fake. So I don't keep secrets. The whole point of this program is to enable you based on the experience me and my colleagues have accrued over the course of 20 odd years, respectively running businesses, social enterprises, and being engaged in our communities. This is a secret economy that many of us aren't aware of. Yes, African family. So how do we enable you to go out and affect your peers nationally? Well, first we want to deconstruct all the mystery. So I spoke about the current being power, and what we teach you is God's law, common law, and then legislative law. You see, common law is the superhero cape that we want to wrap around you when you graduate as alumni. How many of us know that within a trust, there's no taxation, no inheritance tax? I could purchase a building in trust, forget about the rates. I could become a sovereign, forget about paying tax. I'm not even part of society. But you need an ecosystem to do that. Otherwise, you're just the head of the snake that can be cut down, right? You need a collective that you can rely on. How many of us are actually educated as to how money works as an asset? So we teach business acumen. We teach cognitive problem solving skills, public speaking. We have a martial arts instructor as well, because that's one of our components. And Tai Chi meditation, so that you can become reflective of your spirit and understand the power that you hold in dominion over your manhood in this world. This is an everyday course. And as I said, it's not for everybody. This is specifically for men who understand they want to make an impact in the world. Our job is to unshroud the mystery that is around all of those processes. Starting a business, acquiring funding, setting up a sales funnel, being able to identify clients that you can fully automate and then deal with on the end, whether it is for a product or for a service. We make all of this clear. The clarity you're going to have at the end of this is if you've been shot in your forehead with a diamond bullet. So Manage starts this Monday. We've got an open day today in Tottenham, 366 the Mart Centre. Join us on our socials. Follow us on Instagram, Manage Leadership, and keep up with this journey, because what I will be doing is posting videos from me and my brotherhood about solutions that will take you forward in a tangible way. Not fairy stories, not hope. Hope is for hopeless people. Don't listen to Obama. And don't let another pimp come in front of you talking nonsense. Have absolute clarity about who you are, what you are capable of, and what you can do as a cabal of men in this world who is focused on plan A. And when plan A runs into trouble, you evolve plan A. You don't have a plan B. Look out for marriage leadership. We are here to give you the life skills that teach you to successfully navigate society. Not to pimp you, not to set you up to fail, not to put you in front of glass ceilings that ultimately are going to break your heart when you realize they exist. This is a very real program that is very special and unique and was specifically and bespokely created to enable you as an African diaspora man to answer to yourself and your brotherhood and be able to accomplish every ambitious vision that you hold in your mind's eye.